Sell me this pen.
Let's do it. So, Matt, tell me, how long have you been in the market looking for a new pen?
Honestly, I just use pens to write podcast notes down during interviews.
Okay, that makes sense. And last time you had like a really, really good pen, like the one you just couldn't let go, you wrote all your notes with it. What was it about that pen that you enjoyed?
It was a fountain pen. I picked it up in an airport one time. It's like a Lamy pen, and it just made me feel smart whenever I used it, basically.
Right. So, and what was it about like that pen that made you feel smart? Was it the way like it wrote, the way it felt?
It was kind of different to other pens, so I had to like take it and fill it up with ink. And it made me feel like a little bougie, and it was like more like a quill. You know, it's not just like your regular biro pen. I was like, whoa, I'm like real fancy with this thing right now.
And what did it feel like when you know, either did you lose the pen?
I was devastated. Yeah, I lost it.
Yeah. So, I mean, tell me, like, what would it feel like if you could get a pen like that, but even better where, you know, you've got a year supply of ink and you get a warranty if you lose the pen, you just send us, like, press a button and get another one.
Well, that would be pretty good. Make me feel empowered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, shoot, would it be worth it? You know, $5 to, you know, just sign up one time, and if you don't like it, you could cancel the subscription.
Bro, I mean, let's do it.
That was too easy.
That's why would just Wolf of Wall Street use that as like a classic example?
Yeah.
And like, what did you just do to me there? Because I was genuine. Like, those were real answers, as cringy as I feel like they were.
Well, yeah. Well, I think with like Jordan Belfort and the Way of the Wolf, it's one, asking open-ended questions. So I always avoid in sales like a yes or no, like, you know, and also like feature benefit dumping, which is what a lot of salespeople will do of like, they know you're looking for a pen, and they're like, oh, this is the best pen. It writes in blue and black ink. It twists. It moves up and down. I wouldn't have even known, like, you're not looking for black ink or blue ink. You're looking for a quill, and you're looking for something specific where it's interactive. So that's how I look at anything in sales, is just open-ended questions, and you really want to draw out what the person is actually looking for before you even sell them anything or tell them anything. Because if not, you might, you know, frame or box yourself in to where it's like you're selling blue and black ink, but they're looking for a quill pen with refillable ink. So that's really the mindset behind it of like, first, learn about the person you're selling to, learn what they're looking for, learn what made them buy in the past, and start to pull out those emotions of like, you were devastated when you lost that last pen. That's all you need as a salesperson.
So like, I knew that was going to be the opening question. Like, we scripted it ahead of time, and I just, the power dynamic of that conversation totally changed. And I started like sharing stuff that I didn't even expect to imagine. All of a sudden, I'm like, I felt devastated. It's like, what? It's like, where did that come from? It's like, damn.
Yeah, like that's a big emotion. And you really only need one of those to like bring the sell home.
Really interesting. So how many sales calls do you think that you've been on?
Shoot, at least I'd say 5,000 to 10,000. Yeah, when I first started in sales, I was doing real estate where we had a multi-line dialer, and we were it could call like 3 to 5 people at once. Whoever picked up first would answer. So we were doing like 200 to 300 dials a day sometimes.
And what were some of the things that you started to pick up? Because even those first 3 seconds of like phone dialing is tough.
It's super tough. It's like a knife fight. The biggest thing is tonality. So if I was to cold call you, another thing a lot of salespeople do is they'd be like, hey, Matthew, this is Shariff. I'm calling from XYZ Realty. How are you? And it's like, you already know it's a sales call.
Right.
But what I change in my tonality is answering the call like, hey, is this Matt? And you're almost like, wait, is this a friend? Like, they're using my like nickname. The tonality sounds like, you know, maybe we spoke before, and you're like, yeah, who's this? And then that's when I go to, hey, you know, I'm Shariff calling from this company. I know I'm calling you out the blue. Can I maybe steal 30 seconds and explain why I'm calling? And that is when you say like maybe still 30 seconds is that like a fair enough, like you're kind of like leading type of tonality where it's like, does that sound fair? And you're almost making them in a sense, it's like, you're crazy if you don't say that's fair. Like just 30 seconds. So it's so much in like tonality. That was the biggest thing I had to learn.
Yeah.
Because I was pretty monotone when I first started calling, and people can tell, they can tell if you're smiling, they can just feel your energy over the phone. So yeah, that tonality and even like standing up while I'm calling was a big hack too.
Right.
When I first started, for sure.
So you're on the phone with these people, you nail the tonality, and you get like 30 seconds into the call, right?
Right.
And then you're able to do that more and more and more. Like you're getting more people across the 30-second mark. What other tips are you picking up to get people like 1 minute into the call, 2 minutes into the call?
I would say the biggest tip is the looping when you're handling the objections. So in the straight line selling method that Jordan Belfort details, you have a set of questions that are all going to line them up to your like pitch or your value proposition. And pretty much you're isolating the objection. So for an example, in the real estate, objection we always would get is like, hey, everything sounds good, but I need to ask my wife about it.
Sure.
So what I would do and then say is like, oh, well, I see your home's listed for $250,000. If I brought you a big bag of cash in a briefcase for $275,000 today, would you take that and would you pick it up off the ground, or would you still ask your wife if you could? And they're always like, oh, no, I'd take it. So I was like, well, shoot, it's not really about the cash, but it's, you don't want to sell your home for a great big discount. That being said, let's just set up a quick 15-minute meeting. I'll come over, walk you through our 151-step marketing process, and show you how we can actually secure you $275,000 in 30 days.
Right.
And it's like you literally took their objection and you just isolated with some, made-up example to show them that, hey, that's not really a real objection. We're not asking to swipe your card or anything.
Yeah.
So
I'm not a sales guy, so I'm not like up to speed with like all of your lingo or anything like that.
Yeah.
But those objections, they're not even real. They're just like things that we throw out.
Yeah.
Why do we do that as humans, do you think?
I think because no one really wants to be sold.
Right.
We want to feel like we're making the decision, and we want to feel like we're doing research, and we also don't want to be pressured into something. So it's like anything we can use to just give ourselves some more time to where we don't have to commit to anything, and then it's on us if we made the bad decision. So being able to make that decision but not have like any accountability or like any like real anything holding you to it is what people really try and avoid. It's like they don't want to get like locked into a contract off the first phone call. Right. Which that's something we use as well. It's like, hey, I'll show up. If you don't like the tie I have on, you can kick me out. We're not taking payment or we're not selling your house today. I just want to see if it makes sense for us to work together.
I was on actually someone's Skool About page literally maybe 4 days ago. I've no idea who the quote's accredited to, but the quote was something like, the expert salesperson moves the prospect along the whole process without them ever even feel like they're being sold.
Yeah.
I was like, yo.
100%.
That's true.
100%.
Because even the pen example, it becomes less about Shariff trying to sell Matthew a pen, and it's more about Matthew getting that feeling back.
Yeah, 100%.
It's crazy.
You buy off it. You're not like, if you were just going to buy a pen, you could find a pen anywhere, but it's more so like, how does that pen make you feel? You're kind of selling like, you're not selling the plane ticket, you're selling the vacation,
right?
Which is just the feeling of it.
So if you look back across your 5,000 sales calls plus,
yeah,
what was the one thing that you did for a long time that you wish you had stopped sooner?
Oh, definitely either double asking questions and over talking. So I now write on all my sales scripts, it's like in capital bold letters. If I ever say a price, it says shut up in like capital letters. So it's like, just say the price and be quiet. And a lot of times, if you're new to selling, and it may just be human nature, you kind of try and avoid that like awkward silence or that awkwardness. But it's like, if I say the price is, $997, and then we just sit, like you gotta think about it. You're like, whoa, like, I mean, like it puts you in a different like frame of mind where now you're going through all the possible objections that you can. And if not, like say I was to say the price and then I start talking about, oh, but we have different payment options or payment plans. It's like, you don't even really get to fully make that decision yet. So that would be the biggest thing of like, be quiet whenever you say a price. And then also sometimes people will ask double questions. So if we go back to the pen example, when I asked, how long have you been in the market for a new pen? Some sales reps, like they'll keep talking like, is this the first pen you've bought? Is this XYZ? And it's like, you didn't even answer the first question. Like, just be quiet. Let the other person talk.
Yes. And with the pen example as well, you were just asking questions the whole time.
Yeah.
It was me doing all the talking.
Yeah, exactly. That's sales, for real.
So how does that transfer into the world of like remote sales calls with Zoom? Yeah. Because that's where a lot of us are selling these days.
Yeah. Honestly, I think it's very similar. One, because I think on Zoom, I do like it a little bit more, being that you can actually have them like face to face. And the tough part of like selling just over the phone is if you wanted to collect payment or you really want to set up a meeting, the hardest objection to overcome is like, oh, I'm driving.
Right.
It's like, well, what do? You don't want to tell them like, oh, can you just check your calendar? It's like, or it's like, can you just pull your card out or pull over?
Yeah.
So when you're having a sales call on Zoom, you know they're at a desk, they're in an office, and it's really no other objection to like, if everything makes sense on this call, I just need a definitive yes or no. And by the end of the call, we'll decide if it makes sense to move forward.
Right. So that's the advantage.
Yeah, it's a major advantage. Yeah. Like when I first started taking sales calls, high ticket, and it was like over Zoom, if they didn't join with their camera on and like they weren't in a set spot, if they were on the like car, I would just reschedule it.
Because they're not in a place.
Yeah, they're not in a decision
where they can take action.
They can't make a decision in that mindset. You're trying to decide if the light's green or yellow or if you're turning right or left.
Right.
And here for me, like telling you about the offer, it just doesn't make sense.
So how did you switch from doing phone call sales to Zoom sales?
Yeah, so it switched when I was doing real estate sales full time for about a year, and then just scrolling on TikTok, I found out about like some of these tech jobs where you can make 6 figures a year from your computer. So I revamped my resume, added numbers, metrics, keywords, and then started applying to like 20 jobs or so a day. And eventually, I landed a job at a startup, and I got promoted from like a entry-level sales rep to the account executive, which was the one who was getting on those closing calls and just seeing like how they're running the demos. And yeah, it was all on Zoom. So that's kind of how I made the switch.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you got into tech sales for like sales for tech companies?
Yeah, pretty much selling software for like a lot of these big companies.
Interesting. So instead of doing something like door-to-door solar sales or like windows and doors, like that sort of classic stuff.
Yeah.
You saw the new opportunity was to do that type of thing, but in a digital environment for software companies.
100%. Because I feel like it's a lot harder sell for sure when you're in person door knocking. It takes more time and it's not scalable. And with real estate, I saw that potential because you're technically an entrepreneur, you're your own business owner. So we did have people like kind of working hybrid, working remote in real estate for last decades because you really just need your computer and then you're out maybe showing a client, then you're cold calling. You could be cold calling at home, cold calling at the office. And like the top agents, they had the systems in place to where they could be fully remote anywhere in the world.
Right.
So I knew it was possible. I just needed something that was a lot more stable and secure and also where it was really going to be able to teach me like a lot of those, basic sales skills of the tech space.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about the tech sales job remote as well is that the product is not bound to like a geographic location. So it, as a customer or as a prospect, it makes sense if someone's calling you from like a random part of the world. It's not like if I live in Belfast and I'm trying to sell my house in Belfast and all of a sudden I'm talking to Shariff in Michigan. You know what I mean? It's like, so it has more of a global appeal, and so therefore the opportunity is more open as well.
Infinite almost to an extent.
Okay, so you were doing the tech job.
Yeah.
You were doing remote sales. You were enjoying it, clearly having a good time, developing a bunch of skills. And then you posted a video on TikTok.
Yeah.
What was that video?
So yeah, that was literally just me actually on an interview, and like I had the camera here and then I just had my phone like set up here.
Okay.
So you could see my face and you could hear the audio of both sides. And it was just me answering a question about salary. And I have a few of the clips where they'd ask me, hey, what salary are you looking for? And at first I would post some where I would say a number first. So I'd be like, oh, 60K. And they're like, oh, wow, 60K is actually what we're paying. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then there's other times where I wouldn't say anything. And instead I would say, I'm pretty open and flexible being that I've interviewed with multiple companies. I'd love to learn more about the budget and the salary range you guys had set aside for this role. And there's been a few times where they were like, well, it does depend. What were you paid at your last job? And like, well, I signed an NDA. I don't want to share it. So it's like, you'll go back and forth.
Ping pong.
Yeah. Whoever says a number first loses. So a recruiter's always trying to fill you out, see if they can get you in at the low end of the range. And obviously you want to get on that high end of the range. So just not saying a number, but like navigating it professionally is the hardest part. And Yeah, nobody talks about it.
Sure. So why do you think that clip and that type of content went viral? Because,
Mm-hmm.
you're on TikTok, you wouldn't typically think like, oh, this guy giving interview game
Yeah.
is what I'm really interested in, or I'm like, you're trying to zone out after work. Why do you
Yeah.
think people were attracted to that type of content?
Well, it's relatable. Like you said, you're zoned out after work,
Mm.
but it's like something clicks. You're like, wait, I have to go back to the job tomorrow.
Mm.
Let me actually see if I were to do some more interviews, what's the market like? What are the interviews like? And I think it just sparks some type of hope in a lot of people of like, there's still more to learn and there's more opportunities out there if you put the work in.
So you then saw the big opportunity of helping other people get jobs like this?
Yeah, 100%. Because I'm a college dropout,
Yeah.
and I only had that like full-time year of real estate experience before, like I said, I just updated my resume with what I did. And this was like the first role I got was like a $50K base salary, $75,000 on target earnings, which is like your base plus commissions.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, well, shoot, if I don't have a degree and I just did, commission only sales for about a year, I didn't know that there was a path to get here. A lot more people could do the same thing I could do if they had a path to do it.
Right.
So that's why I kind of started helping people. And it all started organically of I had my free resume template on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, people start downloading it. They're like, oh, I'm getting interviews. Now what? So then they wanted to start booking me for calls. And then it's like, oh, I've got a second round. Now what do I do? Or like, I've got to do a mock pitch for the interview. So yeah, it just started growing and kind of organically improving because people got better results. So their questions got better.
Something that we talk about all the time is emergence theory.
Yeah.
Right. So you set out there, you go on a path yourself. So you were in a job, you wanted to change. Hey, this remote tech sales thing looks kind of interesting. So you walk the path yourself.
Yeah.
Then you just put the content out there and you saw that other people are interested in that opportunity. And so you help them with one little bit. And then naturally they want help with the next bit.
Yes.
And then naturally they want help with the next bit and the next bit and the next bit. So yeah, what happened next?
I was doing like the, one-on-one calls, and at that point it wasn't as scalable. So that's when I started creating a community around it. And the biggest bottleneck was like, shoot, there's 5,000 jobs hiring right now, and you only have so much time. And all 5,000 of these employers don't know you're on the market.
Right.
So we created a service where we could apply to those jobs for you, as well as like coach you on the interviews, coach you on the resume, and pretty much a done for you process. Because it's honestly, it's like a full-time job applying to jobs.
Yeah.
So ideally for me, I was like, if you can just focus on the interviews, really researching the company, coming prepared with like 2 or 3 stories to be able to tell, and like 10 questions to ask, you'll stand out over any other candidate. And I also encourage our members to like record your interview too. Look at it as like a game or film. Every athlete, the top athletes, whether they have a great game or the worst game in the world, they're going to sit and review that film. Same with interviews. And then when they go back and play that team again, so like when you go back and you have that second, third round, watch the last interview so you don't get confused. If you're interviewing with 3 different companies, you know exactly what you talked about on that first round or that second round. So when you hit that third, final round, you're so prepared and you're so dialed in.
I just love how you've been on this path of continuing to solve more and more problems for those people. And again, I'm underlining this and repeating this intentionally. They were the problems that you faced yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like so many of us, whenever we try to start a business, we think, oh, but like, what problems do I solve? And whenever you have actually walked a path yourself, then you just think, well, what problems did I struggle with?
Thank you, 100%.
Do you know what I mean?
I feel like it's the biggest like question that everyone like, oh, what business do I start? What business do I start? But I feel like for you to be passionate about it, it's like just solve a problem that you had, create a solution that you would buy.
Yeah.
Whenever people ask me like, who's this for? Like, who's your target audience? It was me 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So if you're like me and you don't want to go to the college route, or you don't want to start your own business and like struggle and not have guaranteed money, this is who it's for. So yeah, it's literally like so simple when you're trying to find a problem and start a business.
Mm-hmm.
Just solve something that you struggle with that you would pay for, because we're all alike.
So you start helping people you're doing one-on-one coaching. Obviously, you're a limited calendar. You can't do that forever. You can't do, as much as that as you'd like to. Why did you think that starting a community would be a good pathway for you to take to help more people?
Skool was literally like an answered prayer because like we were on WhatsApp. I was just like searching. I'm like, I wanted to do group calls because like you said, I only have so much time. Mm-hmm. It wasn't scalable at all. And like we had a good chat of people, but what really sucked is we put all this value in the WhatsApp and then a new member joins and they can't see any of the previous conversation.
Yes.
So
there's no legacy.
Yeah, no legacy. So I'm like, every time someone joins, I couldn't even pin like the link of like, this is where to go. So it's like, there were no processes. We couldn't really do anything from there. So yeah, having the community, it was a game changer because a lot of the questions are very similar in the process too. So it's like with the group calls, when one member has an interview, we can all prep for the interview together. And even if you're not interviewing with the same company, it's still the same framework. It's still the same process. And then we can all like pitch together and we can just bounce ideas off of each other. And then obviously, having the classroom video content is a game changer because the process is the same with creating the resume. You're just filling in and inputting your details. So yeah, it's literally been a blessing.
And you're here in Vegas because you won the Skool Games.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you. It's super exciting.
Really, I can't wait for you to enjoy the whole thing. Like you're in the mansion.
Yeah.
Going to meet Alex Hormozy tomorrow.
We went at the perfect time.
Oh, dude.
It's crazy.
It's so good. So how you made like, what was it, 15K monthly recurring revenue?
Yeah.
In like a 30-day period?
Yeah. That's a crazy push. It is.
So how did you start to push and build a community like that?
Mm-hmm.
And how were you able to get such great results for your customers at like $47 a month?
Yeah. Honestly, the launch model, I feel like that's what's really hot right now is it's kind of like a whisper, tease, shout.
Mm-hmm.
So we were telling a lot of like on all of our social medias, we've got the Digital Bromad. He's also one of our business partners. He'll be flying in, I think tomorrow. And he's got close to 500K on TikTok. And he's just traveling the world, living in Philippines, working a remote job, going to Japan, Colombia. So we pretty much let his audience know, same with mine. And we kind of merged all of our audiences to like one funnel where we're like, hey guys, we got something really big coming up.
Cool. So you guys partnered up.
Yeah, partnered
Genius.
up. Best way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, from there, it's like, you just tell them you got the promise of like, we'll get you this role 30 to 45 days. We've got the step-by-step plan for you. We even have like a literally like accountability tracker checklist, like every single thing you need to do every day from like your resume, LinkedIn optimization to we also, a little bit of sauce like is this tool called Apollo for automated email outreach.
Yeah.
And literally, so what we do is we have the first touch be a personalized email. And then from there, you can automate up to like 10 touches or more of emails to these recruiters where it'll autofill their first name, their job title, their company name, and it even will do a LinkedIn connection automatically for you and send a note, like a message to the recruiter on top of the applications that we're sending out. So yeah, I mean, we've got the process so dialed in now where, yeah, it makes it so much easier because most people when they're applying, they just go on LinkedIn, easy apply, click, and then they like sit back, hands up.
Right.
But because of our members, we take care of the applications and we also have like job board links where we just send them out so they can apply too. But we're making it so you stand out because you are pretty much you're doing the job in itself of like setting up the automated emails, reaching out and networking on LinkedIn. And then obviously we set them up with a really good mock pitch and good interview questions. But people say it's competitive, maybe at the top of the funnel where everyone's applying, but the amount of people who actually do additional work of like researching the company and reaching out to the recruiter is like 1%.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really a lot easier than most people think to like stand out. Like you just got to put in some effort.
Yeah.
Show them you want the job.
That's the thing. Like, Hormozy talks about this a lot where the bar is so low to be exceptional.
It is.
Like unbelievably low.
It's like a little bit of effort and just show up every day. That's the hardest part.
And you go above and beyond for your community members. Like when I found out that you were doing the job applications on their behalf, I actually looked at your community. I was like, there's no way he can do that. And so Apollo is one of the ways that like it really helps you.
Yeah.
Makes it possible for you to do that.
We had this one girl, and a lot of our people, like our best performing members, are former real estate agents. They just have a little bit more drive, a little bit more hustle.
Right.
But she was the one who started doing, because we would just set up like all automatic emails on Apollo, but she made the first one a manual email where it was personalized touches.
Yeah.
2 weeks in a row, she had 15 interviews the first week and 16 the second. She secured like 3 offers in 40 days.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was insane.
But this is the power of the community model.
Yeah.
Is that it's not just like all hail Shariff, the guru.
Yeah.
Like everyone gets to learn from each other. So when
That's
one
what I
person
love.
inside the community succeeds, everybody succeeds because now you've just learned a new meta. You've just learned a new cheat code and now everyone can benefit from it.
No, that's what I love. Like we literally made a new category for and a new like module for her, and like for we called it like the sauce tab. So it's like now like all of our members, like when they create some new like sauce, they get their own tab, they have their own Loom videos, and it's like exactly like you said, you don't always have to learn from me. We're all learning from each other. It's the community is a game changer. It's like you're all masterminding together.
Yeah. How have you changed as a person through this experience?
That's a really good question. I've definitely grown. I'll say the biggest change I've seen is really in the mindset that I think I've had of like now work is fun. It used to be a drag of like I'm only doing it for the money. Like I just want to put my hours in and be done. But now like my wife, she has a hard time like pulling me away from the computer or pulling me off calls just because now we're having so much fun. We're getting so much good results. Shoot, we get to come out to the mansion, meet Hermosi. So it's really enjoyable. So that's what I would say is the biggest thing when you're actually on the journey with whatever you're building. If you're just trying to land a job, if you want to land a job and then start your own business, there's going to be like long periods of time where the work sucks. You really hate what you're doing and you're just not getting the results that you want. But as long as you can just stay through it, it flips like that. And then you feel like you're on top of the world and it just becomes fun again. So
when did it start getting fun for you?
Yeah, I would say like the start of summer, like when all of like our community manager, Dakota, when he brought that other creator, the Digital Bromad, Austin, and we partnered up. And then my other partner, Trev, when he just took over sales, because shoot, when we were using like WhatsApp and these other platforms, I was running the sales calls, I was doing community management, I was doing client success. But it's like when I had the chance to just specialize and focus on content and like coaching and results inside the community, and then everyone else could just specialize in what they do best. Yeah. I think that's when it really becomes fun, for sure.
So kind of landing the plane, you have experienced a lot of success in the last even 3 months.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
It's super.
Where do you want to take this thing?
Yeah, I really want to just keep scaling it. Ideally, like in the future, you know, once we really optimize the front end side and our like B2C like side where we're just helping people on the front end, ideally, I think there's a really good way to start partnering up with a lot of these other tech companies, or shoot, even some of these other community owners on Skool, where if you need top sales reps, we can place some of these top sales reps into your business. If you need closers, if you need setters, you need people who can cold call. So that's really where I see it going in the future of we've got it really dialed in. We've got really, really good candidates, really, really good experienced people. But now let's start reaching out to these different companies and shoot, you need us to build out a sales team for you, we can do that. So yeah, that's where I see it going.
I love it, man.
That'll be exciting.
Selling the shovel. That's the end game.
Yeah, yes it is.
Final question, dude. So we took an Uber here together from the mansion.
Yeah.
And you know, you're a really impressive guy.
Thank you.
So you're young.
You as well.
You're married. It's like you're clearly committed. Happy 6 months.
Thank you.
We chatted off Mike a lot about how the biggest thing that you have to let go of and the biggest thing that you change is your mindset.
Yeah.
If you could identify one mindset thing that you've had to change to get to where you are now, what would that be?
Abundance mindset for sure. I would say the way I used to think, and it's the way maybe we're conditioned to think, is on the negative side of what if it doesn't work? What if it doesn't happen? But what if it does? What if everything goes really good? What if you shoot for the moon and land in the stars? It's just having the abundance mindset. And another really good piece that I added is focus on what you can control. You can only input, just do the work, try and enjoy the journey, and be patient while you wait for the results. And at that point, there's nothing else that you can be upset about or mad about if you're just focusing on what you can actually control, for sure.
So good. Links below if you're interested in joining Shariff's communities. And if you're thinking about starting your own community, there'll be a link to join Skool for free down there as well. Other than that, Shariff, man.
Thank you, Matt.
Loved it.
I
Thanks
had
for
fun.
making the time. Do a long reach over this epic
Yes,
wide
sir.
shot Scott set up. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
See you guys.